Hi, I'm Ashley Cooley, a birth, baby, and sleep specialist and mom of 3. There's so much information out there, right? This show is dedicated to helping you clear out the noise so you can figure out what will work best for your baby and your family. If you're looking to learn more about your baby, gain more confidence in your parenting, and get as much sleep as you can through it all, you've come to the right place. Bringing Up Baby is about to get a little easier. Hey everybody, this is Ashley Cooley. Welcome back to the Bringing Up Baby podcast. And today I want to talk to you about something I hear from new parents all the time. It's not about what's happening right now, but what they're worried is coming next. So things like the 4-month sleep regression, transitioning their baby out of a swaddle, and moving their baby from the bassinet to the crib or into their own room. These are huge transitions, and they get talked about so much that they can start to feel like looming disasters, like you're just waiting for sleep to fall apart. And I want to slow that narrative way down today. But before I go any further, I want you to hear from a client who summed this up perfectly. This is something I hear constantly from parents, and I think a lot of you will recognize yourselves in her words.
I'm a first-time mom. My baby is almost 2.5 months old. And my question for you is about what is coming down the pipe with sleep. I keep hearing about the 4-month sleep regression. I know we have to transition out of the swaddle. I know she'll be too big for the bassinet soon, and I just feel like there's a freight train of changes and decisions coming our way. Sleep is kind of working, like we're in a bit of a rhythm now. She gives a longer first stretch and about 5 hours usually, and I'm wanting to know what you would do if you were me to prepare, kind of research or laying some foundations or preparing for what's coming up to kind of set a good foundation for all of the sleep stuff that's about to change. Would love your thoughts on that and feeling a little overwhelmed. Thanks so much.
Okay, so if you nodded along to that, you're obviously not alone. What stood out to me in that clip is that the fear isn't just about sleep, it's about anticipation. The feeling that things are going okay, but you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And honestly, the anticipation of these transitions is often heavier than the transitions themselves. But one of the most helpful mindset shifts I offer parents is this. Transitions are not signs that something is going wrong. They're signs that your baby is growing and doing well. Infant sleep isn't linear. It's responsive to development, learning, and change. But that doesn't mean it's fragile. It just means it's adaptable. Most transitions are temporary. They don't happen overnight, though it seems like maybe it does. And they don't undo everything you've done so far. So let's break each of these down so we can feel a little bit more calm, cool, and collected going into these. So let's start with the 4-month sleep regression. This is really the big one. It's the one everyone worries about. Sometimes before you even have a baby, you've heard about this. So first, I want to gently reframe it. It's not a regression. It's a developmental shift. So sometimes we notice that there can be a quote unquote regression in sleep during this time because of all the developmental changes that are happening, but they're not sleeping poorly. Nothing is wrong. It's very, very much appropriate. So around this age, around 4 months or so, your baby's sleep cycles start to mature. They start waking more fully between cycles the way we do as adults, and they have more sleep cycles in the night than they used to. So babies before this 3 to 4 month change, they're usually only cycling through sort of 2 cycles in the night, which is why sometimes you might notice that they only wake once, maybe twice at those ages. But then as they get closer to 4 months, they start waking up more often. So their sleep has actually changed. The way they sleep has changed, and they're just becoming more alert. So this can look like more night wakings, shorter naps, or needing more support than ever before to fall back asleep. But here's what's important to know. Not every baby experiences this in the same way. And honestly, sometimes parents are worried and anticipating this 4-month sleep regression, and it never happens. They never notice a change. So we've been worried about it for nothing. It also doesn't mean you've created bad habits. So if your baby does fall into this quote unquote regression where their development is soaring, but we're noticing differences in sleep, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong or you could have done anything to prevent it. It literally is just going to happen because of their development. It also does not mean that sleep is permanently broken. Now, even though at 4 months their sleep sort of changes, sometimes we notice it going back to where it used to be. But a lot of times, yes, it doesn't mean they're broken, but it does mean that their sleep has changed. So now we need to support them a little bit differently, perhaps, to get their best sleep. So the goal during this phase isn't to fix your baby, it's to respond, stay consistent where you can, and ride the wave. So there's really no preparing for this. There's nothing you can generally do to make it easier or better, other than having a conducive sleep environment that's cool, comfortable, safe, familiar, all those things, maybe some white noise, and the routines that you do. All of those sort of healthy sleep habits can be extremely helpful during these times of transition, but they won't necessarily make it so that you don't notice them or that they don't happen. So the same is true for other transitions parents worry about. Transitioning out of the swaddle, that's about safety and motor development, not sleep failure. Okay, so if you are swaddling your newborn, your infant, they're under 3 months of age, they haven't started rolling yet, and they are not overheating, because those two factors are really important for their safety. But if you're still swaddling your little one and you're anticipating or thinking about, now I need to get them out of the swaddle, or I soon will have to, is this going to ruin their sleep? Well, I have news for you. The answer is yes, probably, but only for a short period of time. Because here's the deal. I'm guessing you were probably swaddling in the first place because your baby has that Moro reflex, that startle reflex, when you put them down and they sort of wake themselves up or they hit themselves in the face or something like that. So oftentimes we're swaddling to help that reflex sort of disappear, basically, so that they can get more sleep. And that is fine. The goal in the first 3 to 4 months of a baby's life is for you all to survive and thrive as best as possible, as safely as possible. So we do those things to get better sleep. And it's not wrong or bad, but that reflex isn't, you're not just making it go away. You're just kind of delaying it from your baby working it out. It is a developmental process. It's neurological, actually, and they have to sort of work through it to get through it. So if you are swaddling your little one to avoid the startle reflex during sleep, just know that when you do stop swaddling, it will be present, but it will go away. I would say at most within a week, but sometimes this is when parents decide that they're going to maybe just swaddle with one arm out at a time to help baby get used to it. Maybe the arms are out, but they're still swaddling, so there's a tiny bit of pressure sort of around their core, their chest. And then there's actually a couple of what I call transitional swaddles out there. Some popular ones are called the Zippity Zip. It looks like a little starfish. And then there's the Merlin Magic Sleep Suit, which has a bit of weight to it, which helps, again, prevent some of that reflex from disturbing baby sleep. So again, that transition out of the swaddle can sometimes be a bit worrisome because probably they're going to wake up a little bit more. However, maybe a transitional swaddle or doing it slowly over time can help. But if you also just want to quote unquote rip the Band-Aid and get them out of the swaddle, maybe put them in a sleep sack instead, their arms are free, you might have a few nights of few more wakings, but they will work through it and that reflex will go away. So if we now were to talk about moving from the bassinet to the crib or into their own room, this is often more of an emotional transition for parents than it is for disruptive sleep for babies. And actually, usually by the time we're ready or thinking about transitioning baby into their own room or into a crib because they're getting bigger and the bassinet's maybe not working out so much, or maybe we're waking each other up throughout the night, actually sometimes this will make sleep better. So if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, but how do I stop stressing about what's coming? Here are 3 things I want you to remember. First, zoom in, not ahead. You don't need to manage the next 6 months of sleep, just the next few days, or maybe the next week. Second, expect change, but not catastrophe. Some disruption is normal. That doesn't mean things are falling apart. We'll take it as it comes and know that there's support on the other side if you need it. And third, you don't need to prepare perfectly. You don't have to anticipate every transition to be a good parent, and you can meet your baby where they're at when they get there. Because you know what? They will go through these transitions, but you may not notice sleep regressions through them. Though it is common, and as we've been saying, baby sleep is not linear, so they do go through these times and periods of adjustment, and eventually, their sleep will get disrupted when they get sick or when you're traveling or you're expecting them to sleep in a new space. So there's definitely going to be times ahead where sleep is going to be disrupted. However, all you can really do is stay on top of their wake windows, making sure that they're not staying awake for too long a period of time so they don't get overtired. Set up their room and their space as a conducive sleep environment, so one that is relatively cool but comfortable. So somewhere between 18 to 20 or 22 degrees is great for sleeping. It is safe. It is familiar, and you're doing your pre-sleep routines, and all of those things are telling your baby that sleep is coming soon. So you're really setting them up for these healthy sleep habits. But when you go through these transitions with your little one, if there is disruption and it's enough that you do need support with it, well, that's why we have our Bringing Up Baby VIP membership and the podcast. And you can reach out to us anytime at ashley@birthbabysleep.ca, and I've got you. That's all for today, guys. Hope you have a good one. See you back here next time. If you're looking for more information or support along your parenting journey, check out birthbabysleep.ca. That's where you're going to find prenatal classes, postpartum and new baby resources, and sleep support during the childhood years. Lastly, but certainly not least, if you got something out of this episode or our show in general, leaving a rating or a quick review goes a really long way to helping others find us. So please consider leaving one. That's all for now. I'm Ashley Cooley, and we'll see you back here next time.